to the Climate Cafe.
This meeting is being recorded.
Hi everybody, thanks very much Mark, and welcome to the Climate Cafe. My role is as Senior Smarter Transport Officer for Hammersmith and Fulham, and I am a very regular cyclist. I've been cycling in London since 1992. And I've been a cycling instructor since 2007. So cycling has been my thing for a very long time. I think if any of you cycle, or for those of you who do, because it seems like most of you cycle more post-COVID than before, you'll know that there are so many benefits to them, and that those benefits are very, very well recorded and researched and publicised as well. And you'll also probably know that cycling in London is a bit of an adventure. And it's really enabling and empowering to conduct journeys anywhere in London under your own steam. It's also immensely sociable. I find that I have random conversations with complete strangers all over the place at traffic lights, or just, you know, waving at people at the pavement. So it's fun. Cycling is fun, and it's also, apart from being affordable and low cost, it's a great way to engage with your local community and in your local environment. So people who ride bicycles tend to spend more money with local businesses, which of course is hugely valuable to those local businesses. We're in a climate and an ecological emergency. We all know that, and we all know what the solution is. And the solution is that we have to stop burning fossil fuels, and we have to stop doing it right now. We just don't have the time to wait. Cycling is an absolutely brilliant way to get across London, to get anywhere really, and to do it without burning fossil fuels. So that's another huge bonus to it. And of course, predictable timing. Cyclists tend only to be late when they've left home late, which I do quite a bit. So the other things that are great about cycling is physical activity. It's even in kind of wet weather and in cold weather, cycling can be enormously invigorating. And it reduces things like days off sick in the office. It reduces depression. Cycling makes one a lot happier because of the endorphins that are released. It also reduces a lot of other illnesses, you know, including cancers, stress, anxiety. It can help strengthen your bones, which is particularly important for women with osteoporosis, and it can reduce chances of getting some cancers. So there are just so many benefits to cycling, and it's so incredibly easy to incorporate it into your daily life. You don't have to go to the gym. You can jump on a bike and cycle to work, or cycle to the shops, or cycle to see friends, and you've incorporated lovely exercise into your daily routine. Physical activity, cycling, walking, running, scooting, wheeling, all the rest of it also stimulates the brain. So it's a great way to be creative, or if you are stuck perhaps behind your laptop and there's just a solution that you can't quite reach, go for a bike ride or go for a walk, and you may well find that whilst you are undertaking that physical activity, that creativity comes to you, that solution comes to you. You can go back to your worktop, to your laptop, and stick in the solution. So you can see here an illustration of the brain after sitting quietly and the brain after a 20-minute walk. That is just so much more stimulated, so much more kind of happening in it. In terms of infrastructure, Hammersmith and Fulham is committed to reaching net zero carbon by 2030. That's actually only just over 7 years away. It's really, really close. So we are actively rolling out cycleways and segregated cycle lanes. You may well have experienced the cycleway, the segregated cycleway on King Street, which the LCC said was the best new cycleway in London this year, which we're really, really proud of. We're currently collecting data, which so far shows that the cycleway is really popular at all times of day. So we're really thrilled about that. And anecdotally, I use it almost every single day, often on a fully loaded cargo bike with about 100 kilos in front of me. And I just see it being used by lots and lots of families. It feels to me as if there are a lot more families who are starting to cycle to and from school. And I would hope that the cycleway is part of the reason as to why they've made that decision. There are also ones that have gone up on Uxbridge Road, and that's really helpful. We are aware that there are issues with vans and lorries parking very close to those cycleways. And just bear with us because we are aware. But having said that, please do continue to tell us when it's happening to you. We have gone through the design stage and secured funding for a new segregated cycleway going down Wood Lane from Decane Road all the way to Shepherd's Bush Green and linking up to the existing infrastructure on Shepherd's Bush Green. We're really excited about that. If everything goes to plan, the construction will be starting in June 2023, and it's going to be an even better cycleway than King Street, and King Street is fantastic. So we are super, super excited about that. The King Street cycleway, you may well know, goes over the north side of Hammersmith Gyratory, which is fantastic, and along Hammersmith Road to Olympia, where it comes to a sudden end, but hopefully that will change at some stage in the future. And we would love to hear from you. Where would you like to see more segregated cycleways in Hammersmith and Fulham? Where is it difficult for you to cycle because of the lack of infrastructure in Hammersmith and Fulham? We'd really love to hear from you on that. Sorry, Mark is doing the slides. So we are also very, very well aware of the issues of cycle storage. We currently have around 2,000 residents on a waiting list for secure cycle storage in the borough. And it's something that we are working on. Those bread bin cycle storage facilities, there's a waiting list across the country for those, but we are trying to get them secured so that we can put them out. And of course, there's an issue with budgeting as well, but we're well aware of it and we're trying to mitigate for it. In the meantime, we have opened our first super storage hub just on the south side of the Hammersmith Broadway, underneath the flyover. We've got 90 spaces there, 87 bike parking spaces, normal bike parking spaces, and we've got 3 cargo bike parking spaces or non-standard bike parking spaces as well. To get access to the hub, you download the Movatic app, which is MOVATIC, register with it and rent your space, and it's free. And that app will give you access to the actual storage hub. The storage hub is covered and it's well lit 24/7, and it's also covered by CCTV 24/7, so your bike should be secure. Do lock it though. And you'll also find a bike station there in case you have any issues with your bikes, a puncture or your brakes need tightening or something like that. There are tools, they're great tools, really high quality, that you can use to fix your bike while you're there. So we are, again, recognise we need more cycle storage. We would love to see more cycle storage. We would love to see everybody cycling in Hammersmith and Fulham. We'd really love to enable that. If you know somewhere that you feel a super storage hub could go, please, again, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. And you can get in touch with our team via cycling@lbhf.gov.uk, cycling@lbhf.gov.uk. One of us will open your email and get back to you. And I think that's it. So who am I passing on to now? Am I passing on to Lee?
You are passing on to Lee, so I couldn't find the unmute button. So next box, thanks very much for that overview, Philippa. And I think we're seeing you again a bit later to talk about sort of training offers and what we're doing with schools. But meanwhile, we pass on to businesses. And Lee, I'm going to hand over to you now. And after you, we'll go on to Alpa. So over to you, Lee.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mark. Yeah, I'm here to talk about the Parcels Not Pollution project that Hammersmith and Fulham are running at the minute. So I work for MP Smarter Travel. We're a sustainable transport consultancy, and we've got a specialism in cargo bike promotion. So we've run several projects in the past with councils and business improvement districts, all about promoting cargo bikes and getting individuals and businesses using them more. This photo is actually taken from a square in London Bridge where we launched our Bikes for Business project with the Team London Bridge Business Improvement District. So it just gives you an idea of all the different cargo bike companies out there now, people using cargo bikes to deliver their goods and services. Just a bit of background, I actually used to work for one of these companies, and so did my colleagues. So there's 3 of us in the team. We've all got experience and expertise from working inside the industry. And I also used to work in local government. So I've got sort of similar perspective to Philippa in terms of working in a sustainable transport team at a council. So yeah, that's sort of my background. Yeah, if we can move to the next slide, I'll start talking about Parcels Not Pollution, which is actually now in its second phase. Oh, actually, before I go into talking about the project itself, I wanted just to say, a lot of people, I'm sure people on this call will know of some of these facts and be totally sold on the idea of why we should be using cargo bikes. But I think Philippa in her presentation nicely outlined, we need to reduce our reliance on carbon diesel vehicles and reduce our carbon emissions. And this is sort of one of the key reasons why we are focused on cargo bikes, because we, as a consultancy, we feel they are the future of urban freight. And here's some just key figures of why we promote cargo bikes as a solution. So just that first one, 51% of all freight journeys in cities could be replaced by cargo bike. The underlying bits are actually links to websites. So I don't know if these slides will get sent around afterwards, but that's a European study has found that 60% faster than vans in city centres. That was a study done, I believe, with Westminster University and Peddle. Again, it was Peddle are a cargo bike based courier in central London. They looked at comparing the delivery of parcels compared to van couriers, and they were delivering 7 an hour rather than 4. Obviously, cargo bikes are quicker through busy central London traffic. And then this third bullet point was from the calculator that the Cross River Partnership have, a clean air tool calculator. And this was just something I plugged in. If you're switching from a diesel van doing 100 miles a week to a cargo bike, it just shows you there the kind of savings you're going to make. And the carbon savings is equivalent to the emissions from 42 football pitch-sized forest fires. Because I know sometimes we say 1 kilograms of carbon saved. I think when in the calculator tool, it does say what that really means in real terms. I think it gives you a bit of an idea of the kind of savings you can be making. Annual running costs, obviously for businesses that we're talking to at the minute, it's a big deal for them is money and time. They want to do the right thing, but they're also very conscious of saving money. So a lot of the businesses, I'll go on to talk about it, but we're helping them buy their own bikes. And if you're buying your own bike and replacing a diesel van, you could be saving 20 times what you're spending on the annual costs. And that includes like parking, insurance, maintenance, congestion charge, ULEZ charges. So it really adds up. And better for people. Your staff who ride the bikes are healthier, as Philip was saying. You're reducing road danger. The bikes, although some people like moan about the way people are riding around London, they are far less dangerous than the motor vehicles. And there's an improved urban environment. It's less noise, it's less traffic going around, clogging up the streets, there's more space. So yeah, better for people. So that's why cargo bikes, that's sort of the background. We just go to the next slide. So yeah, this is just sort of a quick summary of the Parcels Not Pollution project. The previous phase was focused on working with one particular courier, and there was a voucher scheme. We've now changed the way that the project is structured. So what we're doing as a consultancy, our role is really understanding business needs in the area and then matching them up with the right service for them. So we're doing widespread business engagement. We were actually out last week on Wandsworth Bridge Road and in Fulham. This is my colleague Ted pictured talking to a French deli on Wandsworth Bridge Road. We talk to them to understand their operations, what kind of deliveries they have coming in, what's going out, how they're doing it, what kind of vehicles they use, whether it's their own or a courier. We give expert advice, so we know a lot of the different cargo bike operators out there. We've got good connections to retailers, to couriers, to different services. We then suggest them matching them up to somebody. We let them do a 1-month trial. And we obviously recognise it's a disruption or a change in their operation. So we do give a one-off subsidy to help with that switch. As at the end of that 1 month, we give subsidy up to £600. The £600 is if they're buying a bike. It's a maximum of 150 if they're using a third-party service. Yeah, and then just that last point, yeah, those are the different things that they could be doing. They could be using a courier, they could be using a supplier that delivers by bike, some food or drink, or even a service. So I'll talk about in the next slide, but tradespeople arriving by bike, or they could be purchasing their own bike. So if we go to the next slide, I feel like Chris Whitty with next slide. Next slide. So this is just for people who don't know about who's using cargo bikes out there. I think it's really important to say the variety of uses. It's not just couriers, although some of the ones pictured here are. But the top left one pictured there, that's City Sprint, who we actually helped through a previous project. They now deliver on an hourly basis blood samples between Guy's St Thomas's sites. So they actually go past my office in Southwark every hour, and that used to be done by a motorbike. So we helped Guy's St Thomas's talk to City Sprint and change that to a cargo bike. So it's something that's obviously very valuable, carrying samples, and it can be done by cargo bike. Bottom left, you know, people think, oh, a bike can't take that much. That's Peddle, a courier company in London. They've got trailers. They're able to take bulky items. Between the bike and the trailer, they can take 300 kilograms. I believe that's a large printing delivery there. So I think they work with printers in Southwark or Lambeth who do large prints. I think that's what they're delivering in that picture. That central one, again, this is something that we were involved in. It's a sole trader on a market in near Elephant and Castle. They do wholesale deliveries to cafes in the area. We helped them use a cargo bike. They were delivering 10 minutes down the road by a van previously. And this is a Hugo's Eco delivery, another courier, but they're based around South London. So again, wholesale food and drink delivered by bike. Top right, I had to include Amazon. Not something that we've been directly involved in, but it's amazing to see some of the big players now getting involved with cargo bikes. It's not something just that's for independent small businesses. This is something that's a serious mainstream solution for urban freight. And the fact that Amazon are using them from a central London base, they're doing over 5 million deliveries now a year using cargo bikes and foot delivery. It's a serious thing. It's not something that's just a nice to have quirky idea. Bottom right is a electrician cycling Sparks. That's Aaron. We actually helped him buy his first cargo bike. He's now gone on to invest in larger bikes like this Urban Arrow. His first one was a normal e-bike. And he's got a team now, I think it's maybe 4 bikes and a team of staff who go around central London doing jobs by bike. He used to drive a van. It's a really great story for him to tell, because he used to drive a van, and it wasn't because he was an eco warrior that he wanted to get on a bike. It was because his business was struggling to get, he couldn't get to jobs easily through traffic. He was having to pass on the charges of the ULEZ and congestion charge. And the tools he was taking could easily fit on a bike. It wasn't like every job required a van. So he just made the business decision to get a bike, and it's really paid off. And now he's charging a lot less than his competitors, and he's got a very unique selling point as well. So really great story. Yeah, so the final slide is just my contact details. Our main role now is the Parcels and Not Pollution projects running until March next year. We're covering the whole of Hammersmith and Fulham Borough. We want to talk to as many businesses as possible to understand how we can help them switch to cargo bikes, and we've got one-off subsidies available. So if anyone who's attending wants to send us any businesses they think that might be interested, then please get in touch.
Thanks a lot, Lee. And since we're talking about a whole ecosystem of services needed, going to pass now on to Alpa. When you don't have a bike, what do you do?
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Mark, and great to hear the other two. So yeah, we run two cycling initiatives in Hammersmith and Fulham. So I'll start with our first one. If I sort of explain why we set it up, it'll make sense in the objectives of these schemes, and then I can quickly summarize how you can use it or how you apply for it. So the first one is based in North End Road. It's called Our Bike. That's the sort of brand name we used. And it is a cargo share scheme. So in a nutshell, zip cars, but for cargo bikes. So app-based, you can hire by the hour, and you use the app to open the lock. So there's 3 bikes in North End Road, 3 cargo bikes. The bikes themselves are all, I guess you'd call them more family cargo bikes. So they're 3-wheeled bikes. You could argue easier to ride. There are characteristics that are slightly different to riding a normal bike. We've modified these bikes so they have a bench in, and you can carry humans. You can carry an adult or 2 children, but you can also carry a lot of goods in there. So if you businesses use them occasionally, but for residents, shopping, going to the allotment, to the recycling centre, there's a whole bunch of uses that people have hired them for. And so the reason we did it, I started on this scheme, looking into it about 4 years ago. And cargo bikes are fantastic. I use them for work. They can be expensive compared to a car. They're obviously not. But if you're not needing one on a daily basis or for regular use, the model of hiring, like a zip van or a zip car, the model of sharing works very well. And also there is a barrier for some people of storage. I mean, I argue that you can store the thing on the street as long as you got the right locks, but still. So it overcomes the affordability issues for some people and storage. So how do you use these bikes? You register, I'll put a link in the chat. You register on our website. We just get a bit of information, which we share with the council who have supported and funded this scheme. And then you'll have access to the app, and all you do is you reserve the time you want it. So it's not like, I don't know if anyone's used the sort of the dockless bikes or scooters. It's not a sort of scan and go. It's, I need it tomorrow for between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. for a specific job, and you hire it for that moment. So you know it's going to be there for that job. And then because it's subsidized, I mean, it's amazing the council have funded this thing. You can get the first 2 hours every day, this is for free. So it's free use of an electric cargo bike. And thereafter, it's still only £3 an hour. So from an affordability perspective, it's great value. There are also, if you've never ridden a cargo bike, we do offer the option of having a training session. So that would involve, when you register through our website, there's an option to book in on a session which will be at one of the bikes, and it will be a group session, normally up to 5 people, with one of our instructors. They'll run through how the system works, and then just a sort of brief within the 2 hours, a brief sort of trial on the bike, and just going over the main characteristics where you could go wrong if you've never ridden a cargo bike. I mean, the key is not to go crazy riding it around corners or on roads with cambers. It's otherwise it's quite difficult to fall off because there's 3 wheels. And in terms of usage, we've had really good take up in North End Road, more from residents, but it's well over what we expected, and still more people are signing up to it. That said, because they've got free bikes, there's always availability. So that's that scheme. And since we've been launched in Hammersmith and Fulham, we're now running this project in 7 boroughs. So Hammersmith and Fulham got in pretty early. So thank you for the support on it. Shall I jump on to the other scheme we run in the borough? Thank you. Try before you buy. Okay, so the reason we set it up, which will probably explain how it works. When I started Peddle My Wheels, it was and we still run these. We did events which were pop-up second-hand bike markets. A lot of them are in schools, and the way they work is people bring in their old bikes, unwanted, outgrown bikes. We service them and then we sell them, and that was great. And we'd go into schools and do them. We'd service and sell loads of kids' bikes at affordable prices. Everyone loved them. My aim with Peddle My Wheels was to try and get modal shift, which obviously it's great having kids cycle, but we need their parents cycling. And that's where the challenge came. And that's where I'd get the same, it's unsafe. I've got nowhere to store it. I can't afford it. So all I wanted was a scheme that at least gave me something to come back to these arguments with. Because often in my mind, maybe I'm a bit of a cynic, but often it's a knee-jerk reaction. If you've got a car in your drive, you're going to use it. So if someone starts saying about cycling, you just go, oh, it's unsafe, it's unsafe, it's unsafe. Actually, in central London, it's pretty good now for, as we've already mentioned, infrastructure and safe ways and what have you. So Try Before You Bike was designed to like tick off all these objections and go, well, actually, it does this. So how it works, again, I'll put a link in the chat. You order a bike online through our website. So much like an online retailer, there's a whole bunch of bikes there. What you'll see when you first go there is a list of councils who are running this scheme. And there's now 22. So you tick, if you're a resident or live, work or study in Hammersmith and Fulham, you tick Hammersmith and Fulham, and that will show you the bikes that are available. And essentially, you're hiring the bike, subscribing, whatever you want to call it. You're basically signing up to a 1 month rolling agreement, but only ever committing to a month. And there's a payment for that. So you'll see the bikes. It's really easy to order. I'm sure a lot of people here already cycle, but if you're telling someone else, if they're worried about what
Alpa, we've just lost your audio. If you want, I don't know if something's come on unplugged or a connection problem. Alpa,
did I go then?
You've gone, but you've come back.
I've come back. Yes. I've got a backup thing here for things like this. Okay, let me stick with it. If I go again, I'm going to switch to another network. Sorry, where did I get up to?
So we only lost you for the last 10 seconds.
Oh, cool. Okay. So you're on the site, you order the bike. The bike will be delivered by one of our staff who are all qualified cycle instructors. They do use vans, I'm afraid, because we're based in South London. They are electric vans. We're looking at other models, but for now, that's how we work. When they deliver the bike, they will give the recipient of that bike, this is to their door, so they haven't got to travel to get the bike, a sort of 15-20 minute induction. Just show them the basics, watch them ride up and down the street, and then they'll guide them as to, look, you haven't ridden for 20 years. Here's the council link to get cycle training through the council. So we signpost, and we signpost to a lot of different organisations. We know a lot of people in this world. I know Lee well, and their stuff's great. So if we get businesses, we can signpost to them. So community groups, Philippa does some great stuff and always has in this area. Cycle training. So you're not left on your own, basically. And in terms of overcoming these objections, so safety, right? A cycle instructor is going to deliver it, get you started, and then they're going to pass you on to a cycle instructor to have full 2-hour cycle skills sessions. Keeps you safe. Affordability, the bikes cost £30 a month. If you then choose to buy the bike, and bear in mind there's no commitment, there's no penalty, there's no fines if you give it back after a month, which we collect, so it's all nice and easy, you get your hire fee deducted from the price. So it's a way of saying, look, I'm not ready to go out and spend £400 on a bike. I'm going to try it out and spend my £30. And then you can just keep hiring if you want, if you prefer that model. We do get some people who get the bike for 8 or 9 months, and then in winter, I don't know why they shouldn't do this, but they return it and then they come back to us in February, March. up to them. It's better that they cycle for 9 months than no months. So there's all different options, very flexible, kids bikes, adult bikes, folding bikes, if you lived in a flat or you wanted to take it on public transport. Insurance available. What else can I? Every bike comes with lights, lock, helmet, so all the essentials, and you can add things like pannier bags if you need them. I think that's it for the scheme. I know there's other stuff to get, so I'm going to put the links to both of these. But all of these schemes are available to anyone who lives, works, or studies in Hammersmith and Fulham. Thank you.
Brill. Thanks a lot, Alpa, and also Lee. I think you're seeing the ways that we're trying to break down barriers to entry from different angles. We're going to try and finish the presenting part by 10 or 11 past. We've still got a few minutes for questions. We will finish hard at 15:15. I'll just race through some of the cycle and scooter hires that you probably come across, not only in this borough, but elsewhere. But in Hammersmith and Fulham, we've had Lime, Tier and Dot since June 2020, and Human Forest a bit more recently. These are all the sort of freestanding bikes that you might see around, and they're proving amazingly popular. You can see the first 6 months of operation just in the borough, 70,000 kilometres were ridden through those different means. And there's also the TfL Cycle Hire Santander, previously or still by some might be known as Boris bikes, which is still there, and they're innovating as well. I'll just give a very quick run through, if you've not used these before, a case study of Human Forest, which is one that I've used. It's not a special endorsement. With them, you get 10 minutes a day free, and then a per minute charge. 10 minutes, by the way, it's about enough to go a mile or so. The middle picture, you can see that's if you get the app on your phone, it shows you where all of the bikes are. And then you park, because in the past it has been a complaint of people sort of scattering scooters and bikes across the pavement. That's a lot better than it used to be with charges if you don't park in a certain area. When you do, you normally take a photo of where you've parked just to show that you've done it the right way. What Hammersmith and Fulham are doing is constantly having interactions with these companies to make sure that we're getting more bays. So run by Hammersmith Hospital, some more of those coming. TfL Cycle Hire stations, the red dots, you can see those tend to be a bit cheaper, although they've now added their own e-bikes to those schemes. If you're out and about in the borough, you've got your bike, or in fact you don't own one, you want to give it a go, this is a great way to get started. Trying to rush through, and Philippa, I don't know if you can do this in 2 minutes as a challenge. If you've got questions, put them in the chat now so that we'll have time to address them. Over to you, Philippa.
Lovely. Okay, great. So yeah, I'll do this in 2 minutes. So we do bikeability in primary and secondary schools, and actually we're really proud of what we're doing in our secondary schools. We're running a program called the Widening Participation Fund, which we launched at the end of February 2022. We have trained almost 700 pupils in 7 secondary schools, and we've got an 8th secondary school joining us in January. The aim behind that is to just be in these secondary schools year in and year out, building up cycling skills for young people. Specifically this generation, this year's year 7s will be finishing A-levels in July or June 2029. And so they're going to be entering the workplace or university or their colleges as we aim to get into a zero carbon economy in 2030. So rather than driving being kind of the default form of transport for many young people, we're hoping that cycling would become that default form of transport, and that's why we're running this program. We give each school 10 bikes, 10 helmets, 10 locks. They go, teams of instructors, fully qualified instructors, go into the school, DBS checked, first aided, fully insured, and with hundreds, if not thousands, of hours worth of teaching experience under their belt. So it's a great program, and we would really love to be in every single secondary school in the borough, so that Hammersmith and Fulham is known as being the borough that delivers bikeability training for all secondary school pupils. We continue our primary school ability training. Bikeability has been delivered in primary schools across England since 2006. And in that time, the industry has trained up more than 4 million year 5s and 6s to cycle to and from school. Almost 0% of those children then go on to cycle through their secondary school careers. So clearly, there's a lot that we need to do to encourage cycling. We can move on. The STARS scheme is basically in a capsule. It's a Transport for London scheme encouraging schools to sign up to active travel programs, again, to bring down the level of driving to and from schools, encouraging families to walk and cycle. The schools use public transport rather than coaches to get their children to and from places in London for days out. And schools win plaques, which they can display in their receptions, either bronze, silver or gold, and they can all move up to a gold level. It takes usually about 2 or 3 academic years to move up to the gold level. So that's really great, and that's been going on for a while, and we're working hard to get every single school in the borough involved in that. Next slide, please. So we don't just do school children. We are very focused in getting the whole community in Hammersmith and Fulham cycling, parents, businesses, families, the works. So we have a comprehensive cycle training program. Our beginner training sessions, we provide bikes. Individual training sessions, you would be expected to be able to ride a bike and to provide your own bike for those sessions. But there's such a range of ways to get hold of a bike now, so that hopefully shouldn't be a barrier. There are lots of people in the borough who don't know how to ride bikes. And so we run beginner training sessions on Tuesday, Wednesday and Friday mornings. On Saturdays, we run family training sessions at any level. We do after work rides, and we've got a Christmas ride coming up on the 14th of December between 4 and 7 p.m. Go and look at the Christmas lights in the Westway. So we'll be, and you can get details just by going to that QR code. We also, the individual sessions are basically where an instructor comes out to you and works with you at any level that you are at, apart from beginner training. So you would need to know how to ride a bike, but that is a great way to get back onto a bike after a number of years, to commute into work, or if you've had an incident on road and you've lost your confidence, it's a great way to get you back up and going again. Doctor bikes are free bike maintenance, and you will find us around the borough every Saturday. We run a doctor bike from 10 till 3 somewhere around the borough. We also run doctor bikes throughout the week. And we're also involved with Imperial College and the Imperial NHS, and we also do events. Doctor bikes are always free, and we will be able to do things like fix punctures, replace some parts of bikes, etc., etc. And then we've spoken about tri-people. Have I done that in 2 minutes?
Well, that's perfect. I'm going to skip the Q&A, which is very sad, but I do want to put out, Virginia quite rightly said that there's still a bit of a behaviour trouble with people sort of casting their scooters in the wrong places. And that's something that the private companies have been improving on, to be fair. But I agree, that's certainly an issue. If there's more you want to see, we'd love to hear what are your entry barriers. Email cycling@lbhf.gov.uk. If you follow our Twitter, which is @LBHF, you will be able to get a recording of this, and we'll also put the description in YouTube, some of the links that have been talked about today. This is a monthly event, the Climate Cafe, so we have a different topic each month. And as I said, we put the recordings on YouTube for you to review, and it's your sort of bedtime joy. Last thing I want to say on the right-hand side of this is that we are hiring 2 business engagement officers for the climate team. Again, that will be stuff you can find on our Twitter and our website. I'm slightly rushing through because I do want to respect your lunch times. Thanks again very much to Alpa and to Lee for joining us from their respective business organizations. Thank you very much, Philippa, for running us through what's going on in Hammersmith and Fulham Council. Please do email us or tweet us or whatever you prefer to do. We love to hear from you, and wish you a lovely 17th of November. Goodbye.
Bye.
I thought I'd
Thanks.
not as effective